Welcome to Reverent and Rebellious, a safe space for faith-based conversations on the things that nobody seems to want to talk about these days. We are reverent, we value truth, we elevate scripture, but we are also rebellious. We shatter myths and we destroy dogma, so jump in. Join us, Logan, Pat, and me, the brother Peter, as we get reverent and we get rebellious.
Good evening.
Here we are.
Good evening.
Yeah, who you calling a ho 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 ho?
We're down to the wire.
We are.
I know.
Yeah, you guys messed me up. You were like, next week's Christmas, and I was like, oh God,
I know.
it is.
I know.
Yeah. It is nuts. I mean, today's the 16th. What in the world? We are days away from 2025.
We are.
That's it.
We're almost a quarter of the way through the century.
I'd seen something that said from the 90s to now would be like if the movie Back to the Future, if you were living there, if he was, I guess, current times today, but he went back to the 90s or something. It was the same as how in the 80s he went back to, what was it, the 60s?
55.
Something that like made me feel old as crap.
Wow, that does hurt me.
Yeah, I mean, think about this though. You know, like in the 70s and 80s, that was, you know, my teenage years were mostly in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're thinking about the future. What's it going to be like in the future?
All these flying cars.
Yeah, and we're thinking like, oh, the year 2000, that's the future, man. You know, it's way out there. And here we are like,
Napster.
we've blown 2000 out of the water.
Yeah.
It was like Back to the Future 3, where, you know, he goes like pretty far into the future. And I think it was in wasn't it like 2024 or 2020 or something?
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like flying cars, and it's like, not quite.
No,
not quite.
Not quite. Yeah, although we do have drones.
We do have drones
everywhere.
A lot of them right now.
Especially over New Jersey.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, I lean more, if I had a prophetic film view.
Yeah.
I lean more towards the Terminator being prophetic versus Back to the Future. I think that the Skynet coming alive and taking over, and I could see that happening more so than the flying cars.
Man, I would lean more towards like 28 days later.
I knew you were going to say that.
I really would. Like when COVID took everybody out, you know, and that's what we're left with is a post. Remember the movie Outbreak?
Oh yeah,
yeah, maybe that one.
Man, I'm a Terminator guy. Pat's 28 Days Later. What is your prophetic film? Don't say Barfly.
I don't know about a prophetic film. I mean, I'm not much of a science fiction kind of guy. So
yeah, well, it doesn't have to be.
I'm more like the Book of Revelation, you know.
So you're a Book of Eli guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's a good flick.
Man, that's three broad ranges there.
It really is.
We got like the super post-apocalyptic, zombie apocalypse, robot. Man, I want to know which of those three or what category you fall into. So we want you to comment below and tell us. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. We do apologize.
We have to apologize because the podcast didn't get posted last Friday maybe. Because I just forgot to post it.
I was going to say, it wasn't that we didn't show up and do the job.
No, we did it. We absolutely
We've been
did it.
busy, all right?
Yes.
Man, it's just been crazy. And I woke up today and it's like, we don't have a podcast from last week. It's like, it's sitting right there in Dropbox. I just haven't done it. Yeah. So it's up. It's ready. It's going. Everything's, business as usual. So
there you go.
I apologize for that.
There you go.
But it was, it's been a busy time.
Mm-hmm.
It has been crazy.
Yeah, it really has. So there you go.
This will drop too late, but I was going to say, y'all need to join us at the Ruffin on the 18th. But when you're listening to this, you will be going back to the future. And
that's exactly right.
Yeah. So Sunday, join us on Sunday.
It's coming Sunday. That's right. At Holly Grove Church, Holly Grove Road, Breton, Tennessee. It'll be a rocking good time.
Yep.
We're gonna have a good time. Mm-hmm. So we'll tell you the fallout from and we're gonna do a very special Christmas episode next week. So you'll want to be on board for that.
That's right.
We're gonna have a lot of fun with that. So did you? I got some science jokes for you.
Okay.
I was reading these the other day, and honestly, some of them kind of tickled me. Two blood cells met and fell in love, but alas, it was all in vain. How about that?
Okay.
Pat, why can you never trust an atom?
I don't know.
Because they literally make up everything.
Oh, that's it. Yep. Yep.
Here's my favorite, though. What do you call an acid with an attitude?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, man.
Amino acid.
Oh, man.
I
Now,
should have known better.
you got to laugh at that.
That one is.
I should have knew better.
Yep.
Amino acid.
Dang. Yeah. I was like, antacid?
Yeah, I know.
That ain't right. That don't work.
Not quite. Yeah.
I
Acid with
had
an
an army
attitude.
buddy. His favorite joke to tell everybody. He's this huge burly guy. He's like, "There's 2 muffins in an oven, and one looks at the other and says, 'Man, it's really hot in this oven.' And the other one looks at him and says, 'Oh my God, a talking muffin!'" And he just thought that was hilarious.
The best joke ever.
Yeah.
My kids' go-to is why did the cow wear? Oh crap! Why did the cow wear bells?
I don't know.
Because her horns didn't work.
That's actually pretty good. I like that.
Okay.
That's like one of their go-tos.
So you remember how we were talking about the 90s was like? Yeah, we all just showed our age. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Went back in time there.
We
a
did.
minute.
We
Yeah,
did. We were
that's
all
okay.
extremely pleased with that.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. What are we talking about
Well,
tonight?
We got a request from one of our top fans, Miss Julie Robinson.
Okay.
We actually were right in the middle of recording our last episode that never got posted on time. She texted me and said, "Hey, why don't you do something on the Masons, on the Masonic Lodge, on Freemasonry?" Because she has, several people in her family that were involved with it. She always thought it was kind of weird, and she never really wanted to go near it. But it's all very cloaked in mystery and shrouded in secrecy and all this stuff.
Yeah, I live in
And so-
Mason.
Exactly.
Yeah, Pat
you are a Mason.
He's a
Yeah,
Mason.
I live in Mason.
So-
He's got the ring. He had the apron on when he walked in.
I
There you
did.
go. See, but it's so wild. I when you kind of went into the whole history of it. It's the oldest fraternal organization in history.
Really?
Wow.
The Masons?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's so
Eat your heart out, Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
see that's in the conversation with
Right.
the
It's a branch of it.
yeah, but it's much later.
That's the one with the like the college,
It's from
George
Yale.
W. Bush, wasn't he? Skull and
it's
Bones.
from
From Yale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yale. That's what you do when the hammer hits you.
Yale.
Yale.
Yale. Because it was
You're on a-
amino acid.
You're on a roll, man.
So Logan, what do you know about the Masons? You got to know some, right?
Yeah, there's some. Actually, I said before I had some family members that I don't know if they like attended a thing to potentially become a Mason, but I don't think they just ever went along with it. And I know a lot of guys around here, particularly it was older men that were Masons.
Right.
I can't think of many young guys that are Masons. And then my other one would be, Pat, you mentioned off air, National Treasure.
National
I think of the
Treasure.
crazy,
Yeah.
You go really deep into the conspiracies with the Masons. And
Yeah.
I mean, even our dollars, they got the
all
it's
seeing eye on the
pyramid.
back.
And,
We'll get to that when we get into the symbols
oh man. All right.
of Freemasonry. It's just crazy.
Now,
But-
according to the movie, Masons they come from the Knights Templar.
Yeah.
Well, see, but they even go earlier than that.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to ask a dumb question though. Now the Masons are not the Illuminati.
Well,
There's a branch.
Okay. Okay.
they're see. Okay, I'm not gonna get into the Illuminati too much.
Jay-Z will
tonight.
get you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. You'll be at a
'Cause
Diddy party
I
before
know.
you know
That's
anything.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hide the baby oil. You know what I'm saying? But the Illuminati was a real thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was an actual thing, and it faded into obscurity, and then just kind of started through all the conspiracy theories and the secrecy, just started making its way back.
Yeah. I got an Instagram message from like an unknown page. I don't know. It's been probably a year ago.
Really?
And it was like asking me to join the Illuminati. but it seemed very scammy because it was like, you will be rich beyond means. Like, I wish I still had it, but it was like, and it had like a link. It's like, click here to join the Illuminati. I'm like, I bet you if I click that, all my credit cards and stuff will not be hacked for sure.
Yeah.
I never delved into it.
Well, and I'm always suspicious of that because it's like you're coming after me. You know?
Yeah, I don't know what's standing out.
I'm really going to help your
I can tell you, my bank account is not going to contribute.
No. It's just like Groucho Marx said. He said, I wouldn't ever want to be a part of a club that would not have me as a member. Yeah. So, what about you, Pat?
Same thing. National Treasure, just urban stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have. I've actually provided entertainment at a couple of Masonic events.
Of course you have.
So
Yes,
you're included.
I think I got some on me. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was. These are kind of open affairs, not necessarily exclusive to members.
Did you have to sign an NDA?
No, but there were drones outside my house the next day. So. No. It was all very, very on the up and up, and it was a nice,
Where was it?
Banquet. It was down in Memphis somewhere.
Okay, so it was around here.
Yeah. And, there was, some people, in our church that were heavily involved, and they have the, Freemasonry, and the women's side of that is the Order of the Eastern Star.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And so I did one of their big banquets.
I thought you meant like back in your heyday.
Well,
so this was relatively recent.
Yeah, this was in the last 5 years, probably.
So are we going to offend some church member with this?
No, probably not, because they're living elsewhere now.
I got you. Okay.
So it's okay.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, I don't have anything super derogatory to say about it,
Yeah.
although we're going to get into some of the...
Besides that they're just controlling the government.
Well, besides that, yeah. I mean, this is an interesting subject because I don't think there are more conspiracy theories about any other organization in the world than the Masons.
I would agree with that.
And I think it's because so much is tied to it, like the Illuminati and things like that.
Yeah,
Well, and I feel like they've done a really good job of maintaining secrecy.
First of all, you have to be invited to join.
Yeah.
You can't apply. You can't just show up and then, say, I want to, no, they have to know who you are. They vet everybody very, very carefully. And they swear everybody to silence.
Or they'll cut off your big toe.
Yeah, something like that. But so that immediately, first of all, on one hand, it makes it very attractive.
Oh yeah, because it's a super secret club, man.
Uh-huh.
Everybody wants to be a part of the elite club.
And they have their symbols.
Yep.
They have their rituals. They have their offices and degrees.
Degrees, the
Yeah.
degrees of Mason.
And they have special handshakes. They call them grips.
Grips.
Yeah, grips. This shows what degree you are by what grip you give.
Wonder how they do their handshakes.
Well, honestly, it looks a little effeminate to me, but who am I?
Does it?
It kind of does to me, yeah. But there's one where I saw pictures.
So it's not like the real man.
Maybe one of them is.
Yeah,
I don't know.
when you get to the top of the
Maybe
level,
that's it.
Yeah,
How many
that's
times
it,
you
yeah.
stopped at a Love gas station? It's like, test your grip.
yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you that's what it is. When you're the low man on the totem pole, they're like, you shake hands like a girl. When you get to the top, then you shake hands like a
That's
man.
exactly right. Yeah.
You're a man now.
So there will be. I know that some of our listeners and watchers, you will know more about this than we do.
Yeah.
I know this for a fact because if you're an actual Mason, some of the stuff is going to be like entry level stuff.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knows that.
So this is going to be a hard group for
It
Pat
is.
and I to infiltrate.
Yeah. If you're a Mason watching, all I want to know is who killed Kennedy and what happened at Roswell.
And
Yeah.
is there a
That's all I wanna
stash?
know.
I want to know where this stash of money is that they're after.
That's what
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah,
find.
yeah.
That's exactly what we need
All
to
I
find.
want is like a 0.05%.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's actually started in medieval times. And it literally started as a stonemasons guild.
Okay.
Like
Hence the name.
Uh-huh.
Brickworkers.
And and actually it began to grow in popularity when during the Enlightenment, the Renaissance, all that period, when they started doing more with stones than just stack them up and mortar them together.
Yeah.
They began to do etchings and very, very highly artistic, ornate kind of things with stone. And so there were these sort of elite stonemasons.
Yeah.
And they decided to get together to support each other and to, so they could, find new projects and new work and explore new territory and all that kind of stuff. So it really started out kind of as an innocent thing. But then it began to spread. And I don't know all the details because this is hard to research because it is secretive.
It is, yes.
And but then it became sort of this this fellowship. They would meet in pubs and bars, and they would meet in upper rooms of restaurants and banquet halls and things like this. And they began to get into sort of this free way of thinking. Mm-hmm. And this enlightenment and this, how do we further ourselves and better ourselves as human beings?
Mm-hmm. So you know what's at the root of it, just like every other thing?
What?
Community.
It is. It absolutely is.
That gummit, it's community. That is like at the base of, community and sex is the two things at the end of.
Yeah.
Well, some of that is, it's community sex,
Yeah. But it's like they all just want to have a group to hang out with.
Everybody wants to belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we get into all of this sort of, now non-Masons want to be a part of their guild and all this kind of stuff. And it starts to move into this kind of bizarre territory, this territory of enlightened thinking. And then spiritualism and religion start to get sort of mixed in.
Okay.
And so now it's sort of morphed into what we have today. And there's a Masonic Lodge in every country of this whole world.
Really?
Around the globe.
Yep.
Yes. There are certain countries that outlaw it, and so they meet secretly.
Wow. Dang. I never would have thought that.
Yeah. And they have a big headquarters. It is a super huge, enormous building. And it houses all of the artifacts and all.
Where
of the
is that?
Stuff. I can't remember. I'll have to look that up.
Is it in the United States?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll look that up. I'm
Or
curious.
it might be.
Is it in Memphis?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's in Memphis. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of go through their sort of, because this is where it gets into the spiritual side of things, because they have officers, and you earn the role of officer, and then you are voted on as to whether or not.
Gotcha.
So
It's in Washington, D.C.
that's what I thought.
I was
Honestly,
going to ask if it was in the New England
Yeah.
area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they call it something like the Grand Lodge or
The
something
House
like that.
of the Temple.
Oh, there you go. House of the
House of the Temple. That just sounds.
I know, and this is why it gets a little bit quirky, because they call the lodges often temples. Temples.
Well, that's what it says. Yeah, the stunning building was designed by architect John Russell Pope and serves as a temple, museum, and library.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have the Grand Lodge in New York.
That's the other one I was trying to think about.
Yep. It's see, that is interesting, because I honestly didn't know that they meshed in much religion.
It's quite a big component.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have I have my curiosity.
Now see, you'll notice this by some of the titles of their offices, because you can start, and this is okay. So I'm going to qualify this by saying there is not much coherence. Like, there's not one set of rules.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So some of these regional groups of lodges will have one set of rules, and another region will have another set of rules. And then you go to another country, and they might have different wrinkles and different ways of doing things. But here's some of the basics.
Yeah.
And here's what kind of got me. The highest office that you can have in a lodge is a title called Worshipful Master.
That is an interesting title there.
All right.
Worshipful Master.
Who's the master?
Well, it's the head honcho.
But like, who is their master?
No, they are the master.
Okay.
Yeah, they are the
So at each one, there's not like branches. There's not like one head honcho over the whole branch.
No pope.
No, there is not.
Okay.
They have their headquarters, which is where all the organizational work gets done, all the the content gets put out, and all that kind of stuff. But they don't advertise.
No, they don't.
No, because you have to be chosen.
Yeah, that's
it's not like,
They're
hey,
Calvinists.
Come and join us. Yeah, that's exactly
You're
right.
elect.
You have to be elected.
Predetermined.
So the worshipful master sits in the east of the lodge room, chairs all of the business of his lodge, and is vested with considerable powers without further reference to the members. He also provides over ritual and ceremonies. It's the highest honor that can be bestowed on a member of a lodge. And they're called blue lodges or something else. There's something else. Anyway. And then when you have reached the end of your term of office, you're now known as a past master.
Past master.
You're a past master.
Almost like postmaster.
Almost like pastor.
Yeah, it's awfully close.
Yeah. So then next in line is the senior warden, sometimes known as the first warden. And he's the second of the three principal officers of a lodge. He's the deputy to the worshipful master.
Okay.
Yeah. If the worshipful master is absent, the senior warden presides as acting master.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, it doesn't say anything else that he does, but he's second in command. Then there's the junior warden, charged with the supervision of the lodge while it is at refreshment, in recess for meals or other social purposes. Has a particular responsibility for ensuring that visiting Masons are in possession of the necessary credentials.
Okay.
How about that?
So he's the vetter.
So he's the ticket taker.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Then there's the treasurer. That's obvious. The secretary. That's even more obvious. And then there are stewards, sometimes known as deacons.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's, like I say, there's different title names for different regions and stuff like that. But they have grand steward or senior stewards, junior stewards, all under the umbrella of grand stewards. So they do a lot of the busy work, a lot of the detail work.
So they're the volunteers.
Yeah, kind of, sort of. Yeah, they're the wannabes, Yeah. And then there is something called a Tyler.
Oh.
Can sometimes be spelled with a Y or an I. The Tyler.
That's why the Mason.
The person
goes back to the Mason.
The layer of tile.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes known as the outer guard of the lodge. Listen to this. His duty is to guard the door from the outside with a drawn sword.
Whoa.
And ensure that only those who are duly qualified manage to gain entry.
Did they do that around here? Is there a
I
dude
don't
out there
know.
with a sword?
I'd like to see.
I would too.
love to see that.
Yes.
And then there's an inner guard or inside sentinel.
Oh, that
Now,
sounds cool.
This is mandatory in all the
That'd be your
lodges
job.
in the UK. Not many American lodges use an inner guard, but they do in Australia and New Zealand. It's a junior member and, somebody, kind of up and coming. But he shares the task of guarding the door, but he guards it from the inside
With a machine gun.
with a short dagger.
He gets a little short sword.
I got my little dagger. That's exactly
You're
right.
not ready for the. So
Yeah.
he also gives girly handshakes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Is that the Eagles? Good
Yeah,
job.
thank you very much. Then most of them have a chaplain to lead prayer before and after the lodge meeting.
Who do they pray to?
Well, we're going to get to that in just a second because their name for God is the Grand Architect, and everybody has to believe. You cannot join a lodge if you do not believe in a Grand Architect.
Okay.
Now they've since some jurisdictions will allow atheists,
Well, how does that work?
but only under certain conditions. Maybe it has to do with your bank account.
I was going to say, because that sounds like that goes completely against
I know.
their thing.
I know, but
Money has an interesting effect on
yeah,
things.
they always have, depending on where it is, they always have a holy book open at all of their meetings and rituals.
Yeah.
So in many places in America, it's the Bible.
Yeah.
But if they have members of other faiths, they'll have the Quran open or some other sacred text, some other sacred book. According to the religious makeup of the lodge. Then they have a director of ceremonies, or sometimes known as a ritualist. It says he's responsible for the smooth flowing of ceremonial and ritual, and may hold rehearsals. He may be responsible for prompting other officers who forget their lines.
Okay.
Yeah. How about that? And then there's a marshal. Marshal does all the flag ceremonies, leading the Pledge of Allegiance, retiring the flag, so on and so forth. Then there's the Master of Banquets.
Man, they got a lot of positions.
Oh,
They
it goes
do
on.
got a
It
lot of
goes on.
positions.
There's the Master of Banquets. There's the Master of Ceremony. There's the Almoner,
Almoner.
sometimes called the Caring Officer, kind of like the pastoral care kind of guy.
Gotcha.
You know, sends out
Gotcha.
postcards, and if somebody's sick, you know, sends out the emails, prayer
Yeah.
chain, all that stuff. Yeah. And then there is the director of music, sometimes called the organist or the master of harmony.
I'm going to
Is
call
that
you
what
the
you
master of harmony from now on.
I'm the master of harmony. And then,
Get him a shirt that says master of harmony.
Yeah. My MOH in the house.
Yes.
yes. Okay,
At
stop
least
that.
they're. Oh, wait, I got a joke I got to tell you off air. Let me make a
Okay,
note of
very
that.
good.
I was about to do it. No, better not, better
I think
not.
I know where you're going with that.
Was it about fishing?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
It's the one. It's
Yeah.
the one. I had to stop myself.
We're on the same wavelength here.
Yeah. Okay, so then they have an orator who is kind of like the preacher, you know, gives the speeches. Then there is the superintendent of works, handles setting out all the, you know, implements and all that kind of stuff. Then, and yeah, there you go. That's kind of like,
That's like joining the military, man.
well, it kind of feels like it, doesn't it? So, yes, exactly. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. Yeah. If you're good at putting a worm on a hook, that's what you are, right? Oh my gosh.
Being a little rebellious
Things have gone
tonight.
downhill very quickly. Okay,
This is
so
not my fault.
we're gonna get into some of their beliefs.
Okay.
All right.
Now, once again,
But this can vary on their location.
it can, yes, but one thing we do know that myths are very, very important
Yeah.
in Freemasonry worldwide. I'm just going to read this little paragraph because I found this article to be fascinating. It says, derived from founding text or various biblical legends, they are present in all Masonic rites and ranks. Using conceptual parables, they can serve Freemasons as sources of knowledge and reflection, where history often vies with fiction. Okay, so that's just kind of a little thumbnail sketch, but there are many myths that they talk about, and they use to inform them and to I don't know, keep them you know, connected to each other, and you know, sort of help define their I don't know, I guess kind of their foundation. And one of them is the construction myth.
They built the pyramids.
That's it. The pyramids, the Tower of Babel, the Temple of Jerusalem, Solomon's Temple. We're going to come back to that in just a minute, because there's this whole little legend that becomes very central to this myth of construction. Freemasons, you know, stonemasons, construction. I mean,
It makes sense.
it really kind of does, and it's all connected together.
But they claim the Tower of Babel
Yes,
proudly.
yes, absolutely, yes. Or that they are sort of modeled after the technology that went into the pyramids and the Tower of Babel, especially Solomon's Temple.
So they're Nephilim.
Yeah, maybe they are. Maybe they are. So there's kind of these biblical elements woven into this, but there's also a little bit of superstition, a little bit of legend, a little bit of mythology in the whole thing. Now, so one of the components, they're very focused on Solomon's Temple, because one of the components of their myths is the myth of Hiram. Now, you can find Hiram in the Bible.
Okay.
It was one of the
It's when you clear your throat.
yeah, exactly right. It's the opposite of blow room, you know. I'm gonna find. Yeah, they're also fixated on Noah, the building of the ark. In fact, part of the legend is that Noah's daughters helped him build the ark. Daughter-in-laws, I guess they would be.
So they're not they don't turn their back on the women.
No, not at all. Although women cannot be a member of the
Mason.
lodge, they have to have their own thing.
You
Order
said
of
that was the
Eastern Star.
East. What did you say that's
Order
called?
of the Eastern Star.
Gotcha.
Hiram was the king of Tyre, right?
Yes, that's exactly
Okay, that's
right.
what I thought.
Yeah. So let's get right into this legend.
Hiram a beef.
Uh-huh.
A biff.
Okay, so generally starts with his arrival in Jerusalem, his appointment by Solomon as chief architect and master of works at the construction of his temple. Mm-hmm. So here's where the legend part starts. As the temple is nearing completion, 3 fellow craft masons from the workforce ambush him as he leaves the building, demanding the secrets of a master mason. Hiram is challenged by each in turn, and at each refusal to divulge the information, his assailant strikes him with a mason's tool. He is injured by the first 2 assailants and struck dead by the last.
So it's basically a hammer.
I guess maybe so.
Hey.
It's one of those stone cutting hammers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very Thor.
Yeah.
After
Thor.
all that.
Well, that's kind of funny. They kill the guy because he won't tell them, but they definitely ain't gonna get no information out of him.
That's exactly right. So his murderers hide his body.
His body. That'll get
Made
you.
out of stone.
Yeah.
Hanging out at the kids department too long. Hide his body under a pile of rubble, returning at night to move the body outside the city, where they bury it in a shallow grave marked with a sprig of acacia. As the master is missed the next day, Solomon sends out a group of fellow craft masons to search for him. The loose acacia is accidentally discovered and the body exhumed to be given a decent burial. The hiding place of the 3 ruffians is also discovered, and they are brought to justice. Solomon informs his workforce that the secret word of a master mason is now lost. He replaces it with a substitute word, which is considered a secret by masons.
Oh, so we don't know what it is.
We're going to have to go kill somebody.
Dang. Gonna go beat him with a mason tool.
Yeah. There's a slightly different version of this story. This one says a large number of master masons, and not just Hiram, are working on the temple, and the 3 ruffians are seeking the passwords and signs that will give them a higher wage. The result is the same, but this time it is the master masons who find the body. The secrets are not lost, but Solomon orders them buried under the temple, inscribed on Hiram's grave, and the same substitution is made as a mark of respect. So, they have another, secret word.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
What I just want to know the secret word.
That's what I want to know too. That's got to be it.
Got to be it.
But you find Hiram, it says, in king of the realm of Tyre, 2 Samuel 5:11, 1 Kings 5:1-10, has sent building materials and men for the original construction of the temple of Jerusalem. That's a very well-known story. But Hiram, king of Tyre, is clearly different from Hiram Abif.
Okay.
Yeah. The Hiram, king of Tyre, is clearly a king, and Hiram Abif is clearly a master craftsman.
Yeah.
So then in 1 Kings 7, Hiram is described as the son of a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, who was the son of a Tyrian bronze worker sent for by Solomon to cast the bronze furnishings and ornate decorations for the new temple. So from this reference, Freemasons often refer to Hiram with the added Abif as the widow's son. So there you go. And then there's another reference in 2 Chronicles. Once again, the king of Tyre, all these different kinds of things.
And they what do they don't worship him, but what do they do, or do they worship him?
Well, no, they consider him an ancestor. Like this is where this
kind of started.
Well, it's a spiritual gift of being able to create these bronze sculptures and things like that. And so it's all going to, anyway, it becomes very much fixated on Solomon's temple. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Interesting kind of take on the 2 Chronicles thing. He says that he sends to Tyre for workers and material to build a new temple. King Hiram responds, "And now I have sent a skillful man endowed with understanding." And the word is Huram Abi, son of a woman of the daughters of Dan, and his father was a man of Tyre, skilled to work in gold and silver, bronze and iron, stone and wood, purple and blue, fine linen and crimson, and to make any engraving and to accomplish any plan which may be given to him, with your skillful men and with the skillful men of my lord David your father. That's kind of how the way it goes. Okay?
So just a bad to the bone builder.
Yeah. So this phrase is translated in the New King James Version as Huram, my master craftsman. So most translations of this passage take the ab in Abi as the construction state, the construct state of Abba, here translated as master, father.
Huh,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. But this is master. And so the common translation of the I suffix is my, giving the problematic reading that Hiram was sending his own father, also called Hiram. So that's a problem. Well, in his 1723 Constitutions, James Anderson announced that many problems with this text will be solved by reading Abi as the second part of a proper name, which he rendered as Hiram Abif, agreeing with the translations of Martin Luther and Miles Coverdale's readings of 2 Chronicle 4:16. So this is how Hiram Abif came into being.
Gotcha.
He was the son of a Danite woman.
Yes, that's exactly right. Isn't that something?
So out of the Samson's tribe,
The one that introduced idolatry.
the renegades.
So this all also gets into
That is interesting, the idolatry thing.
Yeah, I just
I
thought
know.
of that.
I know. So they also are fixated on these two pillars, the pillar of Boaz and the pillar of Yakin.
Man, I would not have pronounced it that way.
I know.
I'm glad
Jason.
you read that. I was like, Boaz and Jason.
Jason.
It's Mike Tyson saying Jason.
That's exactly right.
Jason.
So these two pillars were two copper, brass, or bronze pillars which stood on the porch of Solomon's temple, the first temple in Jerusalem. They're used as symbols in Freemasonry and sometimes in religious architecture. Mm-hmm. They were freestanding pillars, not support structures, but they're ornamental.
Yeah,
I guess you would say. So apparently, when you become a Mason, you have to walk in between these two pillars.
So every lodge is going to have these.
Some sort of representation about that.
Yeah.
And the Grand Lodge and also whatever that place is in DC, they have these like super huge, life-size ornate versions of these pillars.
Yeah.
That's when you enter, you're going to walk right through that. So what do you think so far, Pat?
It's interesting. I'm still stuck on the Danite connection that they bring the religious mythology into it. And if that's what they're going to go with, is that what's his name? Harum Abai? Was that it?
Harum Abif.
Abif.
Abif. If he is from the Danite tribe, if his mother was from a Danite tribe, then that tracks along with the cultish leaning side of it. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would not disagree with you there.
Yeah.
Now, I did I wanted to kind of get into some of their spirituality.
All right, before we do that,
Yeah.
let me read some of these famous people so that it'll make this even
Okay,
a
do it.
little more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do
Yeah.
it.
Tell me who these heathens are.
be awesome.
Yeah, because that's what I'm like. The more you're saying, the more I'm like, this really is
Yeah. Call
blowing
them
my
out by
mind.
their name.
Yeah, so we got some past and some present. So in the historical figures, y'all said this off air, first president of the United States, old George himself,
right.
George Washington.
right.
Oh, Georgie.
And he wasn't the only one.
He wasn't.
Benjamin Franklin,
Thomas Jefferson. It was a lot of the founding fathers.
Mozart, Paul Revere.
Really?
That checks out.
That Paul Revere. He was a silversmith. Says he was also a silversmith. And then Harry S. Truman, Gerald R. Ford, Winston Churchill. Let's see. All right, entertainers and artists. This first one kind of blew me away a little bit. John Wayne. John Wayne was a
No
Mason.
way. Wow.
Well, they're
Marion
little-
Morrison.
Yes.
Well, they're little pilgrim.
I can't see him giving no effeminate handshake.
I don't know. Marion. I mean,
Well, but yeah,
have you ever seen the size of his boots?
were they little?
They're tiny.
Oh man, hey, you gonna ruin? I know you gonna ruin it for me.
He's not Clint Eastwood.
Nah, Clint's the man. Nat King Cole, he was a Mason,
Okay.
and then Louis Armstrong. Y'all were talking about him.
Yep.
Clark Gable, and then Red Skelton was a Mason. That one kind of
interesting.
surprised me. Yes.
Wow.
So here's some modern day ones, and Jesse Ventura, he's one.
Whoa.
That tracks. That tracks.
Well, then you'll really like this next one. And this next one kind of surprises me just because of the way he is about conspiracies.
Alex Jones.
Alex Jones.
I knew it.
Yes.
I knew it.
Alex
I knew it was
Jones.
coming.
Wow.
Yep, the InfoWars man himself.
Yeah, that checks out.
Buzz Aldrin, John Elway, and Edgar Mitchell. He's another astronaut and engineer. Oh, he's actually dead. Dang, Buzz Aldrin's still alive?
Yeah.
Dang, he's almost 100. Because it says here he was born in 1930.
Yeah.
Wow, old Buzz. But yeah, the John Wayne and that one kind of surprised me, really.
Well, I mean, it's funny, you know, and we can name these lists of famous people who are these things, and we automatically go to, oh, you know, these are prominent figures and blah blah blah. But what about Frank Gibson that's down the road or something? You know, like, you know, we always do that.
Well, there is some guys I can think of. I mean, we've actually, you know, there's been some family.
I don't know anybody named Frank Gibson, by the way. I just made
Pat
that
knows
up.
Someone specifically. He's calling you out, Frank. He wants to challenge you, Frank. But no, we have some family that. Well, this guy he's passed away now, but he was a Mason for like his whole life.
See, that's wild.
And he was, you know,
was he rich?
No.
Okay, then he wasn't very high up there.
No, he wasn't rich. And as far as I know, he was a pretty strong Christian.
Did he know John Wayne?
They were brothers.
Oh, well, see, that checks out.
So it's interesting. It is. I'm really intrigued to hear what they actually believe, what they do.
I'm really sad Nick Cage isn't one.
What was he? Wasn't his name on some list I've done before?
I don't know.
Let me just ask straight up: is Nicolas Cage? Because if he is, then he's a liar. Is Nicolas Cage a Mason? His connection to Freemasonry is more of a fascinating observation than a confirmed fact. While there's no concrete evidence proving his membership, his film choices and on-screen roles have sparked intriguing speculation. In the 2004 film National Treasure, he plays Benjamin Franklin Gates.
You know, but out of that list, though, I think the one that surprises me the most is Truman.
Really? Winston Churchill kind of surprised me.
Well, and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Mozart. Yep.
Yeah. Very, you know, like did not try to hide it.
Yeah. So well, he was the first political musician.
It says here, additionally, Cage purchased a 9-foot tall pyramid tomb in New Orleans, which has further fueled speculation about his potential Masonic connections.
You gotta say Nolans.
It says in summary, while his film choices and personal interests have sparked speculation, there is no concrete evidence. He's a Mason. I'm calling it right now.
There it is. That's right. Well, call him up right now. You got his number, right?
I do. I talk to him pretty regularly.
Yeah, exactly.
He's never hinted that he was a Mason, but I got to ask him.
Okay, so here are some basic beliefs. Okay. Freemasons believe in a supreme being, according to your own concept.
But not as a whole. Like could you have like here in Munford, could you have Muslims and Christians be in the same group?
So is this one of those you call it Yahweh and I call it Muhammad or Allah?
They truly believe that all of the and they actually believe in Jesus, but they believe that Jesus is different in that there is a Jesus figure in every religion.
Gotcha.
And so, you know, but I don't even know all the religions, but you know, every religion has a Jesus figure.
Gotcha.
A prophet, in other words. So they're definitely not Trinitarian.
I was going to say, so they're just coexisters.
Yeah.
Oh, completely. They believe in the immortality of the soul.
Okay.
The importance of morality, charity, and obedience to the law.
Okay.
They're also big on chivalry. And this is one of the things, you know, especially in our world today, you know, like the whole Jordan Peterson thing and all this stuff. You know, it's like, you know, let's have, you know, men be men again, you know, teach them how to be men. And so, so this whole chivalry thing is making a big comeback. But they've been into this all the time, you know.
See, I like a lot of that element.
I do too. So they believe in the supreme being, the grand architect of the universe. They don't have to believe in a specific God, but you have to believe in some form of a grand architect.
So what do they do with atheists?
Well, that's a question we'll have to ask specifically, because I do know that that certain orders have allowed atheists in.
And see,
I just don't know how they
that tracks
work that out.
with their structure too, is because it's like, let's not care about who it is. Let's just worry about the title.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's the supreme being.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's mainly because the goal here is to make me a better person. If I'm involved in this society that believes in all these sort of common principles,
Yeah.
then over time, as I work my way up through the system, then I will become a better person.
Yeah.
I'll become more chivalrous. I'll become, and these are all the vehicles to get there.
So this is Mason sanctification.
It is. It absolutely
Yeah.
is. It completely is. Personal development through adherence to moral principles. They believe in helping others, relieving those in distress, friendship and cooperation among all people.
Hence the handshakes.
Yeah, that's it. So it's not a religion, but it encourages religious belief and often expresses its principles in religious symbols. They say it's a place where men of all monotheistic creeds can meet and focus on shared values. Hence, the Catholic Church hates them.
Yes.
They really don't like them.
So the part on here that I guess that my mind keeps going back to, like in the, how we're like, all right, is it a cult or, what is it? The only thing I guess where I'm struggling on saying like, boom, it's a cult right now is that they're really not like making them, it doesn't sound like they're really trying to alter their salvation.
It sounds more like a fraternity.
That's kind of how I would like it. Yeah.
And see, there are many Masons in Christian churches, in Bible believing churches.
Yeah.
And if you ask them about now some, I mean, I'm going to get into some of this content in a minute, but there are, traditional evangelical Orthodox Christians that say, no way.
Yeah.
You cannot get involved with this. But others will say, no, they're perfectly compatible. There is nothing. It is what you make it. It is what you read into it. It is how you practice it. And so, I can go into a ritual with, a Bible and a Quran next to each other and pray to the grand architect of the universe and still be a Christian.
On the flip side of that, I guess to be kind of the devil's advocate on that though, if there's like the satanic after church, like after school thing, and it's like, well, we're not actually believing that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We're just going along with the ritual.
Really worshiping Satan.
Yeah.
Well, we could almost lump this in with nationalism, though. Is you pledge allegiance to a flag, and you give undying, wavering support to your country, regardless of your faith.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so we can kind of make parallels with that, granted without the aprons and squares and things like that. But to a degree, and I see this is probably how the Masons have flown under the radar for so long.
Yeah.
Is for one, being so secretive, and for two, not being a quote unquote religious movement.
Yeah. But then they just generally seem like they try to just get along with everybody.
Or just stay under the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. Here's a little statement of what we believe from Jefferson County Lodge number 9.
Okay.
What do we believe? Masons believe in a real, personal, and active God.
Fair enough.
While Masonry does not require belief in a particular God, it does require a Mason to believe in a supreme God, however conceived by the individual Mason. Additionally, it is the responsibility of each Mason to discover that God more perfectly and to discover that God more perfectly and to conform to the highest moral precepts and virtues of that God. Masonry is not a religion, though it requires and encourages religious belief, and though it often expresses its own principles in religious and other symbols. So it says here, Masonry exists for 3 fundamental purposes: to promote and reinforce personal development. That's a major theme.
Yeah.
Personal development through adherence to moral principle, to responsibly assist and relieve those in distress, and to foster genuine friendship and cooperation among all people and in every nation. As such, Masonic principles reinforce several fundamental religious precepts. Number 1, to invoke the blessing of God before engaging in any great or important undertaking. In doing so, the Mason is constantly reminded of his own weakness and limitation, that wholeness and success are not innately his, and all his doings are superintended by the watchful eye and sovereign will of the supreme God in whom he professes belief.
Okay.
And then it says to regard all men for their quality of character rather than their material and external manifestations. And he goes on about that. And also to be charitable, responsibly contributing to the relief of those in distress, and so on and so forth.
You know, the big difference on this, like, versus just saying a lot of these other cults, I will say the self-development, but through the moral practices.
Right.
That morality aspect, I feel like, is one that's not been in there on these previous cults.
My biggest issue with this so far is more perfectly.
Yeah.
You're going to have a mission statement with a grammatical screw up. I mean, like, we the people in order to form a more perfect union.
Yeah.
More perfect? More perfect?
More perfect.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, I can't get behind that. It's like, go back. You didn't use Grammarly on that.
A better union. Come on, guys.
Yeah, closer to perfection.
Yeah, more perfect.
Come on, Pat. Okay, so 3 principal tenets, they say, are brotherly love, Masonic relief.
What is that?
That's helping others. And truth.
Okay.
like Hiram. A beef.
Yeah,
we need to have truth.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. If we cling to truth, then by it we are enabled to have a permanent brotherhood wherein each man and the whole body of men may be relied upon as faithful fellows and loyal friends. And this is where it gets a little bit weird. It says, because Masons believe these things, they are often thoughtful, industrious, caring, outgoing, and fun. But Masons are more. They are examples of what devotion to moral excellence and sterling character can do in one's own life, the lives of family members, the communities in which they live, their nations at large, and around the world in general. And he goes on a little bit about this stuff. But here's the statement that sounds weird to me. If you believe these things, if you aspire to these things, then perhaps you have just discovered what each Mason has discovered, that they were first prepared in their heart before becoming a Mason.
By who?
The grand architect, I guess. I mean,
see, that's wild because I don't believe truth and fact are synonymous.
Well, and that's kind of the thing is they say, well, is truth that there is a God, and is there just one?
Yeah.
Or do you get to make up your own God?
See, that's it. Yeah,
I was going to say,
you make up your facts, and then that becomes truth.
I was going to say, they're very your own truth.
Oh, completely.
Your own
as
truth.
long as you are upstanding, good, wholesome,
Yeah.
into personal development, all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I want to look at this just for a second from a Christian perspective.
Yeah.
Okay. This guy writes, Freemasonry, Eastern Star, and other similar secret organizations seem to be harmless fellowship gatherings. Many of them appear to promote belief in God. However, Freemasonry, also sometimes called the craft or craft masonry, does not have belief in the one true God in view. Rather, each man must act with courage, fidelity, and devotion to his God. Supreme being, whoever that may be, the God of Islam, Hinduism, or any other religion will do. The unbiblical beliefs of Masonry are partially hidden by a supposed compatibility with the Christian faith. So here's a little comparison, okay? Salvation from sin. The Bible's view, Jesus became the sinner's sacrifice before God when he shed his blood and died as the payment for the sins of all those who believe. Mm-hmm. He lists some verses. Freemasonry, the very process of joining a lodge, requires apprentices to ignore the exclusivity of Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. Focus on good works in the pursuit of personal self-improvement. Mm-hmm. By returning to lodge, witnessing the degrees, and becoming an active part of the Masonic community, a man can build himself into a better man. That's
so works based.
Yeah, and that's a quote. So
Yeah.
Very Tower of Babelish.
So here,
but they loved the Tower of Babel.
They were there.
I was going to say they take claim.
Yes, absolutely. The view of the Bible. The Bible is the Word of God. God breathed, authoritative in all areas of life. Freemasonry. The Bible is only one of seven commonly used volumes of sacred law, of which all are deemed equally important. The holy book of any religion may be used as a volume of sacred law, provided that it teaches and its adherents believe in a supreme being.
Except that I know for a fact that one of those say, "Have no other gods before me."
Yeah.
How do you rationalize that?
Because that may not be your truth path.
That it might not be your holy book. Yeah. The Bible is an important book, but only as far as those members who claim to be Christians are concerned.
Yeah.
It's not considered to be the exclusive word of God. So on and so forth. Okay, so doctrine of God. Here we go. Now we're getting into the weeds here. There is only the Bible's view. There is only one God.
Yep.
Just what you said, Pat. To worship other gods or to call upon other deities is idolatry, a heinous sin, according to Paul. John says that idolaters will perish in hell. Revelation 21.
A lot of gray area there. Yeah.
Exactly. Freemasonry. All members must believe in a deity. Different religions acknowledge the same God, but they call him different names. Invites people of all faiths. Even if they use different names for the nameless one of 100 names.
What?
How about that? Yeah, that's a quote. They are praying to the one God and Father of all. Manly Hall. Oh, I like that name. Manly
Hall.
Jesus.
Manly Hall.
I bet he gave terrible handshakes though.
He is a 33rd degree Mason.
Oh, so no, he was probably crushing hands. Bones were popping when he did.
Yep.
Is it Jesse Ventura?
I don't know.
Might be.
Its real name is Manly Hall. He wrote this. The true Mason is not creed bound. But I like creed.
I love creed.
Yeah.
I could be a Mason with some creed. Yeah, come on.
He realizes with the divine illumination of his lodge that as a Mason, his religion must be universal. Christ, Buddha, or Muhammad, the name means little, for he recognizes only the light and not the bearer of the light.
So the Universalists? That'd be a way of putting them? Or
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah.
So like they'll pray at the meetings, but they...
Yeah, they pray to the grand architect of the universe. Whoever that may be in your own mind.
It sounds more like Gnosticism.
I'd say it's getting worse.
I know. We're getting deeper.
Yeah.
Okay, so the doctrine of Jesus and the Trinity, the Bible's view, Jesus is God in human form, the second person of the Trinity, fully human, fully divine. Christians should pray in Jesus' name, proclaim him before others. Okay. Freemasonry. There is no exclusivity in Jesus Christ or the triune God who is the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Aww.
Jesus is equated to persons in pagan religions. Here you go, Pat. The Hindus call him Krishna, the Chinese Kyonsei, the Persians Sosiosh, the Chaldeans Duvanai, the Egyptians Horus, Plato, Love, the Scandinavians Balder, Balderdash, the Christians Jesus, Masons Hiram.
Oh man, and I hope you don't like the apron in hell because it's going to be hot.
I was gonna say, man, now I'm leaning away from the fraternity thing now.
It's getting a little weird, isn't it?
It is.
Because now it is to dilute every faith, not even just Christianity, but I mean people that are Islamic, people that are Hindu. It's like your God is not that important, by the way.
Yeah, they're all the same.
And so here we go again. Human nature and sin. The Bible's view. All humans are born with a sinful nature and need a savior from sin. Because of the fall, humanity has within itself no capacity for moral perfection. Freemasonry. Through symbols and emblems, Masons teach that a man is not sinful, but in a process of self-improvement. As Deputy Grand Master R.W. Donald Gardner Hicks Jr.
Good gosh. Could they add a couple more names in there?
Sounds like a boxer coming out.
This is what he says. The lesson we teach is that the rough ashlar, a rough cut stone, we'll get into the symbols in just a second. The rough ashlar represents ourselves rude and imperfect by nature, but that the perfect ashlar, a stone with smooth sides and square edges, is that state of perfection at which we hope to attain by a virtuous education, our own endeavors, and the blessing of God.
Through symbols and emblems. So the Egyptians were onto something with all those hieroglyphs.
Yeah. Human beings possess the ability of moving from imperfection toward total perfection.
Oh, so we can be perfect. They believe
Apparently,
you can get perfect.
If you get a high enough degree, I guess.
Yeah. So
if I get high enough.
He finishes.
I might think I'm perfect.
So he finishes his little comparison article like this. He says, when a Christian takes the oath of Freemasonry, he is swearing to the following doctrines that God has pronounced false. Number 1, salvation can be gained by man's good works. 2, Jesus is just one of many equally wise prophets. 3, he approaches the lodge in spiritual darkness and ignorance. The Bible says Christians are children of the light. And 4, the great or grand architect of the universe is representative of all gods in all religions. This is what you're swearing to, is what he's saying here.
That's pretty damning right there.
Yeah, that some people would call it heretical.
He says, by swearing the Masonic oath and participating in the rituals of the lodge, Christians are perpetuating a false gospel. Even if the Christian Mason knows the truth and believes in Christ, other lodge members are trusting in the Freemasonry's plan of salvation to get to heaven. By his membership in a syncretistic organization, the Christian has severely compromised his witness.
Dang.
So how do you think this guy feels about it?
I don't think he's a big fan.
I don't think he's a big fan.
I don't think
either.
he'd be fun to hang out with at parties, but he's got a point.
He does.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's really...
Because that's where I was at. I was like, because you were literally diluting Jesus, you're diluting the supreme God, Yahweh.
Yeah.
You're literally taking religion and faith and diluting it down to fit into your emblems and symbols, and saying that as long as you follow under our rules and bring your God with you, we're okay.
And I would add this. For like people listening that are like, man, well, my dad's one of these, and
he's an idiot.
I'm kidding. No, but I would say, man, I got a feeling some people probably get into these things and they don't put all the weight into it that they necessarily realize that they're wanting you to.
Well, playing with a Ouija board is fun.
Yeah.
Well, and once again, the Masons that I know are great people.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
It makes me think that it's a cult, but they just truly, like, I was going to say they don't know that it's a cult, but I would say most cults don't know that they're a cult. But I really feel like this is one of those, it's like it's a cult and they don't know that it's a cult.
You know what the number one descriptor of Charlie Manson was?
What?
He was extremely charismatic.
Yeah.
Everyone loved him. Super good guy.
Yeah.
I just watched a documentary on that today.
Okay, so let's get into some of these symbols.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
The dollar there.
Yeah, the top one is the all-seeing eye.
Dun, dun,
Is that one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the triangle. Yeah.
That's the Illuminati one.
And it's on the dollar bill. Mm-hmm. Why is it on the dollar bill?
Because the Illuminati's always been there.
But I mean,
it's a watchful eye.
Doesn't well, it says in God we trust. Are we a nation of plural gods?
We are now.
That's a good point.
The all-seeing eye, also known as the Masonic eye or the eye of providence, is up there as one of the most recognized Freemason symbols. It's been around since 1797 when it was introduced in a publication of the Freemasons Monitor. It represents the eye of God and serves as a reminder to the Freemasons that God is always watching, seeing all of their actions and thoughts. Another very prominent symbol. You'll know this from the Mason symbol. It has a big letter G in the middle of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not a cool symbol. I'm just going to be honest.
It's for geometry.
Yeah, and I've never liked math.
it could be God. It could be geometry. Others believe it represents the word gnosis.
Gnosticism,
meaning the knowledge of spiritual mysteries.
Okay,
that's where I'm literally being up. This whole thing has led me that way to Gnosticism.
It's sort of, yeah. Others say that the letter G in ancient Hebrew had a numerical value of 3, which is highly referenced throughout history when talking about God. So there you go. Another big symbol is the square and the compasses. Mm-hmm. That's surrounding the G in there.
That's the part that just looks kind of nerdy.
I know. The meaning behind it is quite literal, with the square representing morality, in that Freemasons need to square their actions by the square of virtue with all mankind.
Bunch of squares over there.
Then the compass measures the ability to wisely conduct actions with certain boundaries. So, together, the square and compasses remind Freemasons to explore their desires and passions without stepping outside the realms of moral behavior.
All right.
Okay.
But you get to determine how big that circle is.
Well, I no, your supreme being does, right?
Oh, gotcha.
The master,
Yeah.
whatever he was.
Whatever he was.
Worshiper.
The
Worshipful
master. That's
Worshipful
exactly right.
master.
Yeah.
The fisherman.
Okay, so then here's some of the lesser known symbols. There's the anchor and the ark. The anchor is used a lot in Christian symbolism. I'm not sure I remember seeing a lot of that.
I mean, not with the Navy, maybe.
I was going to say, I've seen a lot of, older guys who were in the Navy, they got it on their forearm.
Popeye.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is living a life grounded in hope and peace.
Okay.
Represents steadfastness and refuge during life's
They
challenges.
sing, the anchor holds.
Despite of the storm. Yes, that's exactly right. Mhm. So then there's the Masonic blazing star. The blazing star is said to be the pinnacle of a Freemason's journey.
Okay.
In Masonry, a man tries to use knowledge to guide him, much like a star that is blazing against a dark night sky.
Nice.
My AI friend Claude says it often represents divine providence, guidance, and the search for wisdom and truth.
Okay.
They're flamers.
Yeah, the blazing star. Then there is the Masonic gavel. They have the gavel, and my AI buddy did not list the gavel.
Did it forget the gavel?
Well, it might have been on the page one that didn't print. It might have been there.
It's got to be some kind of judgment.
Yeah, firstly, it represents the authority of the Freemason yielding it, who might use his gavel to punctuate his ideas and command order like a judge in a court does. Secondly, it's a tool used to break off the rough edges of a stone or to kill somebody named Hiram.
I was going to say you to beat somebody to death. Does it have that in there?
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
That was a good ad. That was a good ad.
Peter Jeffrey remix.
Yes.
Yeah, I liked that one. Yeah.
Used in this way, the Masonic gavel can be a reminder for Freemasons to chip off certain vices and maintain a pure moral and spiritual heart.
Well done. Well done.
Here's another one, the Masonic sheaf of corn. Back in the days of King Solomon, Masons gave corn as part of their earnings, kind of like a tax.
Yeah.
Okay.
These days, it's used during dedication ceremonies mainly, and sometimes to represent charitable giving to the less fortunate. So what's your symbol? Corn.
Corn.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I'm
Isn't that
kind of
one
the
of your
same.
symbols?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'm pretty much the same.
Yeah. Another symbol is the acacia tree.
Okay.
It's an incredibly hardy, durable tree, and as such has been used to depict immortality throughout ancient history. The Hebrew people, I did not know this, used to mark their graves with a sprig of acacia for this very reason. And that's what they put on Hiram's shallow grave outside the city.
Didn't put it well enough.
Yeah. Aligning with Masonry belief in the afterlife, the acacia tree represents their enduring immortal souls. This is the curious one to me, and I don't even know why it's in here, but it's in there. It's the Ark of the Covenant.
They have it.
They draw significance and symbolism from it as today. They probably know where it is under Solomon's temple.
I
with all
bet
the
you
other
they
treasure.
do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to infiltrate them just to get that.
I think you need to.
I'll be about 70.
Yeah, so you open that sucker and look like Indy.
Yeah, melt off the faces.
Yeah, they use this. This is present in many of their meeting halls.
Why they don't? But what about old Muhammad?
He's in there too.
It's an artifact. It's not necessarily only associated with Yahweh. It's just,
okay.
It represents God's continued forgiveness of their transgressions. And then there's the Masonic altar, place where communion can take place with God, not communion with the bread and the wine, but you commune with God.
Oh,
It's also where the holy books are stored. There's a cable tow attached to a Freemason's robe. I did not even know they wore robes.
I didn't either. They wore the apron thing.
Yeah, so I knew about the apron. And represents a promise that he will help his brother.
That's the big toes they've cut off of the people that the.
There you go. there you go. It's a promise that he will help his brother however much he can, as long as it's within the length of his tow rope. That's why the length of the cable tow rope is so important. It measures how capable the brother is in terms of being able to assist his fellow Freemason. So that, like your bank account or your checking account.
So what does that mean? Like,
However big he puts his compass.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's the Masonic shoe. A long time ago, people would confirm a verbal contract by taking off their shoe and giving it to the person. That is absolutely true. In the Bible, that there's, and actually there's a very interesting story about a woman who pretends to be a prostitute and she uses a shoe. It's a weird story. But anyway, it's the Masonic shoe, also known as the blue slipper. Symbolic confirmation that what has been said will be done.
What about purple ones?
Well, I don't know about purple ones, but see, this is a weird thing because it's like you take something directly out of the Bible or out of Hebrew culture and you say, well, because they did it, now we can do it.
Yep.
It's going to, be repurposed.
Yeah.
It's just really odd.
It is.
Robert Morris taught a good lesson on the shoes of sonship.
Oh, yeah. I do remember that. And then there's the beehive. And that AI mentions the beehive too. This says it is a hotly contested symbol.
Oh.
It is widely accepted the beehive symbolizes the need for Masons to work together to keep the world operating.
There you go.
The world. Keep the world
It's
operating.
the New World Order
That's
right
what
there.
we call Babylon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some believe that there is a deeper, more complex meaning behind it.
The
Cue
World
the
Order.
music. But that's generally the idea. Coffins. I've never heard of the coffin, the Mason coffin. Yeah. Coffins usually represent mortality, but in Freemasonry, the meaning behind them can get a bit murky. Sometimes coffins are represented with a sprig of acacia, which would depict immortality. Other times, it has a 5-pointed star associated with it. So I guess it says the meaning behind the coffin then seems to be interchangeable with whatever context is provided in. Okay. All right.
Consistency is hard to come by.
Now, this one kind of made my head hurt a little bit. The 47th problem of Euclid.
The crap is that?
It says in this little article, things get a bit geometrical here, so bear with us.
Oh, gosh.
The 47th problem of Euclid, also known as Pythagorean theorem.
Oh, yeah. A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Yeah, you got it.
Nerds.
No. I'm surprised you still remember that.
I know, me too. I know, I barely passed through
But
that.
can you spell Pythagorean?
No.
It's some symbolic of the need to square your square. In everyday practice, this means to keep your life in order, and in building infrastructure, it's the methods Freemasons follow when laying foundations. So those are 15 popular symbols. There's a couple of others here. The hourglass, the scythe, the inevitability of death, the cutting away of vice and moral imperfection. So
That's what the scythe is?
yeah. And then there's the mosaic pavement, a checkered floor, representing the contrasts in life, good and evil, light and darkness, joy and sorrow.
Or NASCAR.
So, I mean, and this is probably not even just the whole list.
Yeah, I mean, a fraternity based on symbols and emblems. I mean, we could probably go on forever.
Yeah. So that's kind of the symbols there. But I wanted to kind of finish with kind of a couple of fringe organizations. Actually, I wanted to show you because they have organizations, Masonic organizations for youth and for women, young men, young women. Yep. So there is this organization called Demolay.
Sounds kind of demonic.
It's kind of weird. Capital DE, capital MOLAY. And I did know, when I was in elementary and middle school, I knew young men who were involved in Demolay.
Oh,
and I had
really?
no idea what it was. I'm sure the folks at my church told me it was demonic. And so, there you go. But it's basically a Masonic youth group.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says, and then there are Job's Daughters International and the International Order of the Rainbow for girls and Demolay International. Okay, so
Getting into that alphabet arena over there.
How many closets they designed?
That's what the G stands for, huh?
stands for girls.
I couldn't.
Yeah. So and there's an Order of the Rainbow locally here in Memphis. Yeah, you can join.
Sure,
so,
there is.
So chapters.
It's in Midtown, I think. Is that about where it was at?
Yeah. drop your wallet. Just never mind. Never mind.
Kick it down the street. Yeah.
All the way to the hood.
You didn't hear that from me. Okay. But every chapter is encouraged to have a Demolay club or a Masonic Youth Club or a Job's Daughters or a Rainbow, you know, all that kind of stuff. So Demolay currently has chapters throughout the United States, as well as Serbia, Argentina, Aruba, Australia, Baja California, Bolivia, Brazil, Canada, Ecuador, France, Germany, Greece, Italy, Japan, Paraguay, Peru, the Philippines, Romania, South Africa, and Uruguay.
Jeez.
Serbia surprises me.
I know. Yeah, exactly. But they have, they have chapter advisors known as chapter dads for DMLA.
Chapter dads.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And senior counselors, junior counselors. It's a whole hierarchy here.
Wow.
Yeah. And
They are incredibly organized.
They are.
and pervasive. Yes. This Job's Daughters is for young women, and they have a Bethel guardian. They have a grand guardian. They have the honored queen, senior and junior princesses, guide, and marshal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, they're just everywhere. So that's that. Now, have you ever heard of the Shriners?
I
I have. I know
I've seen the
nothing
commercials.
about them, but I have.
Yeah.
They got the little purple hat with the little thing that hangs down.
The
on
red
it.
fez.
Red fez. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's red with a little tassel.
Little
A black
tassel,
tassel.
yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Here's something very, very interesting about the Shriners. Okay,
Okay.
so they are part of the whole Masonic landscape.
All right, I was gonna say they dress real nerdy too, so it's
They
kind
really
of.
do,
I had
yes.
a feeling.
Here's the story. This is why I had to. I knew you guys would like this. Okay, so let's think about this just for a moment. Okay, so you got the Moroccan fez that they wear. Everything seems to have kind of a, Middle Eastern sort
Right.
of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Okay. In 1870, there were several thousand Freemasons in Manhattan, many of whom lunched at the Knickerbocker Cottage at a special table on the second floor. There, the idea of a new fraternity for Masons, stressing fun and fellowship. They wanted to add the fun factor.
Okay.
They were tired of being squares, man.
Yeah, apparently traditional Freemasonry was just not that much fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who'd have thought?
So there's these two guys, Walter M. Fleming.
He looks like a fun guy. Look at them mutton chops.
I bet he was a
Man.
blouse.
Dude,
And
yeah.
William Florence.
Now he looks kind of like a square.
Look at that bow tie.
Yeah. It's probably wearing a G on there somewhere. you know.
Yes.
So this is the funny thing about this. While on tour in Marseille, Florence, who is an actor, was invited to a party given by an Arab diplomat. The entertainment was a musical comedy, and at its conclusions, the guests became members of a secret society. How about that?
Okay.
So that was I don't know what it was, but
Jay-Z and Beyonce do.
this guy, William Florence, could not stop taking notes and drawing pictures and sketching things. He was absolutely
Enthralled.
fascinated by this
Yeah.
thing. Yep. And so he went back and saw the thing again, once in Algiers and once in Cairo.
Okay.
And so when he came back in 1870, he went to the Knickerbocker Cottage and met with Walter Fleming and showed all this stuff to him. And so they came up with this whole society. Fleming created the ritual, emblem, and costumes. So they initiated themselves on August 13, 1870, and they initiated 11 men in 1871. But here's the funny thing. They adopted a Middle Eastern theme and soon established temple, although the term temple has now been replaced by shrine auditorium or shrine center. The first temple established was Mecca Temple. There's the name.
Oh, Mecca.
Yeah, Mecca.
Yeah.
Established at the New York City Masonic Hall, and Fleming was the first potentate, of course.
Potentate.
Yep. In 1875, there were 43 Shriners in the organization. So they went on this big campaign, this big meeting at the Mecca Temple. By 1878, there were 425 members in 13 temples in 8 states. And by 1888, just 10 years after that, there were 7,210 members in 48 temples in the United States and Canada.
Wow.
By 1900, there were 55,000 members and 82 temples. What do you think about that?
Sounds like they got a good marketing plan.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it goes down the road even further. Okay, so in 1911, they built the Syria Mosque. So
Okay.
what do you think that was?
Is it a mosque in Syria?
It's going
That's
to be
what it
an
sounds like.
Islamic worship center, ain't it?
It's what you think, but it turns out to be a performing arts center in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
What? So it's not even in Syria.
Oh,
Who comes up with the names?
these two guys, they're coming up with the whole thing. They just made all this stuff
They're
up.
like, we're going to call this one
Yeah.
the Manhattan Chisel Plow, but it's in like
know.
Tallahassee.
well, I mean, if you think about it, though, like Memphis is named after Memphis, Egypt.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a place in Egypt. Yeah, that's exactly right, which is why we built the pyramid.
Yeah.
You know, it's the whole thing.
For Bass Pro.
So it was a 3,700 seat performance venue, originally just for Shriners, but then it became open to the public. It is known as the birthplace of network television.
Wow.
Nice.
How about that?
So this has got to be where like the jazz musicians come in.
Yeah, here's a list. But you need to know that it was never used as a mosque, but featured religious Arabic iconography and inscriptions, partly based on the Alhambra. That's their holy text.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's so funny because the architect, Gulzar Haider, was not Middle Eastern. He was probably German. It says he was fascinated by its design, but criticized the insensitive and callous misuse of another religion's artistic vocabulary and symbolic grammar, claiming it was part of the Oriental obsession of the otherwise puritanical Europeans and Americans.
Okay.
So he saw right through their big charade. Musicians who have performed at the Syria Mosque include Bruce Springsteen, Louis Armstrong, Bob Dylan, Pink Floyd, Jimmy Buffett, and the Beach Boys. Political event hosts include Reagan, Nixon, Truman, Kennedy. But it was torn down in 1991.
Roosevelt was a Shriner. Theodore. Oh, Teddy.
I did hear that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They have their own women's organizations as well. The ladies,
The Whiners.
Yeah, the Whiners.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that
You're
one.
going to get in trouble for that one.
I did not say that.
You are going to get in trouble. Yes. The Ladies Oriental Shrine of North America was founded in 1903 in Wheeling, West Virginia. You ever been to Wheeling, West Virginia?
Never been to West Virginia.
I don't know that I have
There
either.
is a super famous, it's almost like the Grand Ole Opry there. Can't remember, the State Theater there in Wheeling. They do a radio show every Friday night, I think it is.
Okay.
I've played that place numerous times. They're famous for a particular kind of cigar that they used to manufacture in Wheeling, West Virginia. So there you go.
Nice.
Was it the Wheelie Nilly?
No, not quite. The Daughters of the Nile was founded in 1913 in Seattle, Washington.
Hey, there you go.
Yes. Okay. So, they're most okay. So in 2002, after 9/11, the faux Middle Eastern practices and trappings led Shriners to be mistaken for a Muslim organization, leading to harassment and vandalism. This is funny. This included threatening phone calls and harassment of Rhode Island Shriners, formerly known as Palestine Temple Shriners.
They really went all out, man.
Yeah, they really did. And so they took off a lot of the Middle Eastern stuff. So instead of being the ancient Arabic order of the nobles of the mystic shrine, they are now Shriners International. And so they no longer have the Arabic patrol. It's just the patrol. So anyway, there you go there. But the Shriners are mostly known for their philanthropy.
Yeah,
Okay.
for children, right?
Hospitals,
Yeah.
hospitals for children. That's what their big money drive every year. And we used to, okay, so where I come from, the big deal every year is the Daffodil Parade.
Okay.
It is the 5th largest floral parade in the country.
Yeah.
And it is a big deal. Huge deal. And I remember every year we'd go to the parade and the Shriners would be there. I mean, they would have their hats on,
Yeah.
and they'd have buckets, and they would just, shamelessly, put money in the bucket. It's for the children. It's for the children. I always thought that was just like the weirdest thing. It was
That's
a little
what that's
creepy.
for? I always thought they were giving money out. I just
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Pat's like, I love it when they come to
All
town.
I got's 100. Give me some change. Yeah. But they had clowns.
I'm out.
And the clowns would ride these little tiny mini bikes. and they would do these little tricks with the mini bikes, and that was their big fundraiser.
Not a clown guy.
No, you will see me act a fool.
It's very similar to like St. Jude. Nobody has to pay anything.
Yeah.
On and on and on. It started in 1920. They voted to establish a Shriners Hospital for crippled children, and then it first opened in 1922 in Shreveport, Louisiana, and by the end of the decade, 13 more hospitals were operational. To this day, Shriners Hospitals for Children are located in these cities: Boston, Chicago, Dayton, Ohio, Erie, Pennsylvania, Galveston, Texas, Greenville, South Carolina, Honolulu, Houston, Lexington, Kentucky, Mexico City, Mexico, Minneapolis, Montreal, Quebec in Canada, Pasadena, California, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Portland, Oregon, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, Shreveport, Spokane, Washington, Springfield, Massachusetts, and St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh.
How about that? And we know about the East-West Shrine game, right?
No.
It's the college football all-star game.
Huh.
Yeah.
So they're even involved in college football.
Mm-hmm. And originally
They put little tassels on the players' helmets.
I think they do. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, when you know what was funny is when you were talking about the daffodil parade. First thing that popped in my head was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that popped in my
Yeah,
head.
it's similar idea. But they originally hosted a golf tournament in association with singer-actor Justin Timberlake, called the Justin Timberlake Shriners Hospitals for Children Open.
Is JT a Shriner?
I do not know.
I could
the
see
answer to
that old goober head being a Mason.
Yeah. Well, it says the relationship between Timberlake and the Shriners ended in 2012 when the Shriners reported that Timberlake was interested in being involved with the organization only when television cameras were present.
Well, he's an entertainer.
What do you expect?
So I'm saying, why are they worried about being involved with him?
So
They
did
want
he-
his name.
Did Justin Timberlake say bye, bye, bye?
I think he did.
Good enough.
But they also hold a yearly shrine circus. I went to the shrine circus many times. Hence the clowns. That's where they come from. But it was a pretty big deal. So we had a shrine circus.
I never, can't say that I ever went to that.
So what else do you need to know about Masons? I think that's all I know. I know that that the Illuminati came out of the Masonic tradition and was a real organization. I don't think it was designed to take over the world, but it might be a thing.
I was gonna say, man, I wonder. All right, Pat, cult or not?
That's a cult. Yeah, I'm anything that will take religious views and dilute them to fit another narrative is a cult in my eyes. It, like I said, Shriners Hospital, more power to you. I think it's a great organization. I think it's a great thing, but I'm sorry. We are a religious podcast, and where do I fall on the grand scheme of it? It is a cult, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm with you, and like I said, I went into this one like, I think it's just a fraternity of guys that are just looking for some people to hang out with and take over the world and hold everybody under their thumb with the power of the government.
It's just that.
Yeah, it's just that, the New World Order. But no, I'm thinking cult after you went down, because I never knew any of the religious background.
Right.
And after hearing that now, I'm like, man, I think they're a cult. And I think they're a cult. I would say, like, look, all right, in our area, I think there's people that are in the Masons Lodge or involved in the Masons, and they're just like, well, my grandpa was a Mason or this or that. And so I just kind of, they don't really, like we said, they don't put the weight on what they're actually, the background and the belief is. And so I think they might be a little hoodwinked by the fact that, hey man, you are in a cult. So, what do you think?
Well, it's one of those sort of gray area things for me, because on one hand, they're not holding anybody captive. Do you say that they're controlling or not controlling, or are you just, because you can get out anytime you want to.
Well, couldn't the people leave in the Branch Davidians?
Yeah, I guess they could.
But
once you leave the Masonic covenant or group or whatever,
You're out.
you're out. Yeah, like you don't have any of
Yeah, it
their...
doesn't say anywhere in here how you would get back in.
Yeah, they
if you
cut
wanted
off
to.
one of your big toes.
That's
You ain't
it.
got but one left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
but like if anyone were to leave our church, we will openly tell anyone
They cannot come back.
Look, Jesus still loves you. Like
Yeah.
we do not hold the authority on Jesus. You know
Jesus
what
loves
I mean?
wrong, misguided people.
Yeah. If you were to leave our church, it doesn't mean you're going to hell. It just means, like Jesus still loves you. It's just you have a falling out with what we do where we're at or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
It's it's just, I don't know.
I just said, let's see, I'm curious. In Freemasonry, the rules regarding rejoining after leaving vary depending on the jurisdiction and the individual circumstances. Demitted members, if a Mason formally resigns from the fraternity, they may be eligible for reinstatement. It involves submitting a petition, paying any outstanding dues, and meeting with the lodge's member committee. And if you're a suspended or expelled member, they may not be eligible for reinstatement. So they'll have a reinitiation. They got a lapse of membership, transfer from another. It sounds like it sounds complicated.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess this is where it really gets problematic for me, because I just think of myself. It's like, okay, so say tomorrow I wanted to become a Mason. Of course, like with anything, I would research first, which your point is well taken. Many people would not do that.
Yeah.
And so it might be, they might get into the initiation phase and they might go through some of the rituals and see some of the symbols, and they use a lot of God language.
Yeah.
So you're going, hey, I'm down with this.
Yeah,
they're talking about
A
God.
bunch of men with faith,
Exactly. We're trying to be good people,
Good at
helping
math.
everybody. Yeah,
good at math. I'm terrible at it. I need help there.
I don't need the internet to use a compass, But then, if I was to, it starts making me really nervous when they start talking about what some of these symbols mean.
Yeah.
A lot of this, just very, very self-oriented. We can achieve perfection and enlightenment all by ourselves. It would make me really, really uncomfortable, and I don't think I could go through with it.
Yeah.
And like I say, I know people, in the church world, in the church space, who are Masons. And they don't seem to have any sort of incongruence there. It's just, it's just kind of, something else I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, this is also part of kind of a problem that we're having in spiritual world, religion world right now, is that it's kind of like a smorgasbord. It's like you can pick whatever from whatever religion you want and make it into your own religion. And so it can't really be Jesus and this other thing.
That's right.
A Christian is a little Christ.
Yeah.
And so
Would this go back to on our yoga episode?
Right. See, it's probably in the same kind of category.
That's what I'm kind of wondering.
Yeah.
Is if it goes back to the yoga, it's like, are you stretching or are you doing poses to certain gods?
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. And you could be doing something completely innocent, but yet there's still a spiritual
Underlying.
component.
There's an element to it. Yeah.
That I think that you would have to, once it's like, I have to reject that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just have to, I'm not going to.
And I feel like this is, I would almost say with the yoga thing, you could claim a little ignorance, but I don't think you can claim much ignorance once you get, because it sounds like by the time you get accepted into the Masons and all this, like, I feel like you ought to know.
Yeah.
But it's still, again,
I think it's possible that you wouldn't.
I do too. And I would venture to say, like, in a small town like ours, they got the lodge there. I would venture to say that you probably go in there and they probably use mostly Christian messaging and things
there's
here.
not going to be a lot of, Baha'i faith.
No.
People, around here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think, like, around here, especially, like they said the thing in Pasadena or wherever, like in, or Baja, California, different areas.
Baja, yeah.
I could see where you might get a little more melting pot.
Yeah.
But that's where I think, like, around here, because again, the guy that I knew that was a Mason, I have no doubt he was a Christian.
Yeah.
So it's like, but now at the same time, I can say that, and then I can also look at this and say, it seems like a cult to me.
Yeah.
There's something that I forgot to mention too. I thought this was interesting. It says there is an overlap with symbolism in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons. They share a commonality of symbols, signs, vocabulary, and clothing, including robes, aprons, handshakes, ritualistic raising of the arms, etc. However, some of the meanings are slightly different for each group.
Yeah.
But speaking in 1877 at St. George Temple, Brigham Young related LDS temple worship to the story of Hiram Abiff in Solomon's Temple.
Thought you were going to say they came out of the Seventh-day Adventists.
Man, we've dealt a lot with those. Man, those people have caused some trouble.
So can we say this then? Let's see if we can find some middle ground here. Can we say that maybe they're not a cult, but they're cultish?
That was going to be my word.
Cultish?
Yeah. In other words, I think the deeper you go, honestly, I think that the more Freemasonry could take the prominent position in your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of incentive there.
That's right.
And there's a lot of benefit, personal benefit, social standing. There's, economic benefit. There's,
Sure.
a lot. And I mean, there's honestly a lot of, I would say there's some dangerous pride possibly in that as well.
Yeah.
Because you're exalting yourself. You're lifting yourself up. Look what I did. Look at who I am now compared to who I used to be. And it's all because of Jesus? No, Freemasonry. So, so here's the bottom line for me. If you're a member of our church or the Baptist church or the Methodist church and you're a Mason, let your conscience be your guide. Same way with the yoga stuff and everything else like that. If you can make that work in your life and keep Jesus number one in your life, I'm not going to condemn you for it.
Yeah,
certainly not.
For sure.
But would I go there? No, I would not. I just absolutely would not, because it makes me uncomfortable in my spirit. It just does.
I got some phone calls to make. Tell them I won't be there tomorrow night.
I have personal convictions in that way.
Same.
Yep.
And maybe it's because I've been just around so much weird stuff in my life that just, I just don't want to take any chances.
You do a podcast with them.
That's
You do.
exactly right.
Yeah, the two biggest weirdos at Holly Grove.
I'm right at home there. That's all I got to say. So anyway, let us know what you think about it. And if you are a Mason, just leave us a comment. Tell us why we're wrong.
Yes.
Because I honestly, I'm getting all of my information from outside sources. I think most of these are very reliable sources, but obviously,
we'd love some first-hand knowledge.
And that's exactly right. And not propagandic knowledge.
Yeah.
Because this was one of the hardest things in researching this, is you either get no information or you get information from the Masonic community, which is very biased.
I was going to say, they're going to have a bias.
It always very biased. And they should be. If that's what they believe, they should be biased. I don't even fault them for that. But, I wanted us to have as objective of a viewpoint on this as we possibly could. So it really took digging beyond, because you don't want to get it all from Christian sources either, because they're gonna they're a bunch of demonic people. I don't want that. So that's kind of where we are here, and it doesn't, like, if you're a Branch Davidian watching this, you need help. You just need help. Okay, but if you're a Mason and you're watching this, I'd love to have more conversation about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to me, it feels just very, dangerous. And so I'm not going to go there. But if you're there, let us know about that.
Yeah, we'd like to hear it. And like I said, we'd like to cut up and have a good time. Not trying to offend you if you're a Mason.
No.
And this is, of all the ones we've covered, this is the one, everyone we've done leading to, it's like stamp, it's a cult.
Yeah.
And this is the only one there's, like you said, it's got the gray area in there. Like, look, I lean to the cult side on this one, but I'm like, there is a fuzzy area in there.
And I would say cult-ish, because I think you can get caught up in it.
Yeah,
yes.
for sure.
I think, so if somebody says, oh, it's all a cult, well, you're not all wrong.
Yeah.
But if somebody says, no, it's totally harmless, you're not totally wrong either, but there is, it just, it feels to me.
If you're in any cult, send us some information. We want to know about your cult.
Send us a video and blink your eyes 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you know you're in a cult, then that's a bad sign already.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right.
All right, guys. Catch you next week.
Don't forget.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Don't forget to write us an email
Where?
at revreb@hollygrovechurch.com. And don't forget that next week is our special Christmas episode.
Yep.
We got some special tidbits for you. And it's going to be fun.
One.
It'll be fun. It's not going to be controversial at all.
Yeah.
We're not going to involve, any of this cultish talk, or, we're not going to go into, launch into Revelation again. We will get there. We'll get to all that stuff, but we're going to have, it's going to be very calm. I think Logan's going to share his tea with all of us.
That's right. I finished my Earl Grey tea tonight, so
maybe we'll light some candles. Let's
make it very safe place.
It'll be a lot of fun. So, leave us some comments. Make sure you hit those buttons.
Yep.
And hit the bell, and go to the podcast services. Write some more reviews. We need some more. We really do.
Yep.
So
give us
let's
that
go.
for Christmas. That's what we want for
That's
Christmas.
it. And I wanted to tell you, Logan, we got a new subscriber to our YouTube channel.
Oh, all right.
Just yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And so we want to welcome you.
They got a new episode today.
They're going to get two right back to back. Anyway, we love y'all, and we're looking forward to celebrating Christmas with you. So we'll see you next time.